So what is email deliverability? The definition of email deliverability is basically the number of emails that are received compared to what is sent. So in this case, you may have a different thing that you're doing for like an email marketing project or something, and you're sending out a number of emails. So the emails you sent may not all be received. And so email deliverability is the ratio of the two. Obviously, you want email deliverability to be very high. However, there is something to be concerned with. One is being received means it's actually in the inbox and not the spam folder. But the spam, because spam folder, people may not check it. So email deliverability also means trying to get into the inbox as opposed to the spam folder. The whole issue of email deliverability is actually related to some technical issues about an email. So typically in an email, we're used to things like the to, the from, the subject, the body of the email. But there's actually lots of technical things going around related to what's called the email header. And email deliverability is about information that's in this email header. So the first thing, just wanted to give you a little background on how email actually works. So you're familiar, there's many different protocols that are used on the internet. We don't really think of them much anymore. We just fire up a web browser, go to a website, and things just happen. But actually there are protocols behind. When you're in a web browser, you sometimes see the letters HTTP or HTTPS. Those are stands for Hypertransfer Text Protocol Secure. Those are how the World Wide Web or a web browser handles moving information data between your web browser and the web server. Email, on the other hand, has its protocol. It's called SMTP, which stands for Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. And so this is the actual process by which email is sent. So again, not necessarily anything about how to improve email deliverability, but SMTP is a protocol that actually delivers email. So the first thing that actually can help improve your email deliverability is something called SPF, which stands for Sender Policy Framework. What this basically is something within DNS, again, another acronym, but DNS is your domain name server or service. DNS is the thing that actually translates friendly names, such as a URL of a website, or in an email address, it would be the host name. So say something like Matt at ML2 Solutions.com. ML2 Solutions is the friendly way to know my business name, but in reality, there's an IP address behind there. So DNS is the place that translates that friendly name to that IP address. But DNS can do a lot of other different things, and one of them is this SPF, which in the end is actually just simply some text information. But the real key that SPF does is it says, hey, what are the email servers that are allowed to send email for this domain? So an example, again, if you're sending email from company at company.com, you wouldn't want to get an email from badperson at .com. And so the SPF record is one that the email server that's receiving the email can ask, hey, who should be sending this? They look that up. And if that email actually comes from it, then, hey, we know that's a real message. If not, it might be suspect and can be used to help eliminate different spam. Another thing that can be helpful to help in email deliverability is something called DKMI, which stands for Domain Key Identified Mail. So this is basically where an email message is encrypted so that you know that the message that when it's received is actually the message that was sent. And again, encryption keys, public, private keys is a very complex thing. But basically what it allows is an email server to find out if the message was sent without being altered or spoofed. And again, this is a way to determine whether or not the email was legitimate, because this also too uses DNS. Only the people who own the server or own the domain name who then can change these records. So again, it's another way to increase the trust factor that the email that's coming in was actually sent by the server that it said it was sent by. So some conclusions about email deliverability. Again, email deliverability is a thing to try to increase the ability that the email is actually delivered as opposed to just being sent. But again, the key is to make sure it's in the inbox as opposed to the spam filter. So to do that, we want to increase the likelihood that this email is trusted because it is shown to come from the place that it was supposed to be sent from, and it was not altered in transmission. These two factors are set through DNS, and in the end, again, it's to improve the trust of the email being received.